It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you Monday? As I wasn't feeling so well yesterday. Giving God thanks that we are here together again today. And Monday, we were shaking the Monday morning blues with the Do Time crew. And we talked about signs that shows that no amount of therapy can fix that toxic marriage. Let's see. You filter everything. You say avoid to setting the individual off. And we know what it's like to be walking around on eggshells with people. And it is no fun. It is no fun at all. You know, you're scared to say something or they're going to pop off. And, you know, God forbid you're in any level of a violent relationship, then you got to worry about that. So no, if you are at a point where you can't speak your mind because you're afraid that something is going to happen, then yeah. Very little therapy gonna do. A whole lot of therapy ain't gonna do much. When your therapist is exhausted from mediating your fights. You know, we've seen this on TV, in movies, and maybe in your own life. No matter when you go to therapies, pastors, where my pastors at? Where my pastors at? Have you ever mediated a fight between a couple and that's all you seem to do? Oh my goodness. We ain't only talking about them outside therapists. We talking about the pastors who are counselors and therapists all by themselves. And oh my goodness, all you do is sit there like this, waiting to get a word in, because all they do is fight, and then more fight. Yeah, listen, when you go to therapy, you can't stop fighting, even in therapy, and all your therapist does or your counselor does is mediate your fights, then nah, y'all might as well go ahead and give it up. Yes, Pastor Steph is saying that. You know, we're supposed to encourage you to do the right thing and, you know, hold on and pray. But I got to tell you, I done seen some situations that is like, oh no, go ahead and let them people be who they gonna be, because they gonna be who they gonna be. Yeah, it's like straight downhill. We talked about when one of the parties is on straight autopilot. They're not paying attention. They're not involved. They're not in it at all. They're just coasting. They're just coasting, either waiting for you to die, waiting for you to give up. Yeah, you know, these are the type of things that people think that, you know, everything that's in the Lord will work. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes there is a lot of abuse that's going on in a relationship, and you've got to have an eye and an ear for that, because people do not understand that when it is an abusive relationship, no, if you don't separate for a period of time to give the abuser, and I'm not saying him, because I have seen the abuse come from the female. But when you don't take the time to separate long enough for him or her to allow God to deal with them, then it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. If they don't understand that God has to deal with them, they don't understand that they have to have that relationship with the Lord. When they don't understand that they have to let go of the control that they want to have over that other individual, then it's nothing that God's going to be able to do for them. Let me tell you something. Faith without works, the Lord is really revealing to me that there's a whole lot to this thing. More and more and more each day, I'm understanding that faith without works is a whole lot broader than what generally meets the eye. You know, the faith says, I need to let go. I need to let go so I can let God do his part. And the works, there has to be works. There's nothing that's going to work when we do not position ourselves to be saved. And that is heavy right there. There is a whole lot that you have to do in order to be saved. Now, saved meaning salvation, saved meaning getting out of a bad situation. Saved is broad in and of itself. I'm not like Chatis. I don't go, she goes and gets her dictionary. Nah, I ain't gonna get no dictionary. Go ahead and get your dictionary. You need to get your dictionary, but I'm here to tell you that you are going to have to position yourself in order to make this marriage work. So all of these things that we talked about, if you don't allow God in properly, and it doesn't just mean separate, because I've seen a whole lot of people separate and it's like, okay, well, what did you do during the separation? So if you have not allowed God to do his perfect work in you, if you don't want to let go as the abusee, sometimes you don't want to let go as the individual who's being abused because you're so dependent on that individual. And again, it is men as well as women. And I'm going to tell you something. Men check out a whole lot of times and we know nothing about it. Yeah, they check out in ways where it ain't got nothing to do with another woman. It ain't got nothing to do with a game. It ain't got nothing to do with working all the time. They check out in certain ways and they don't necessarily even understand it themselves. Yeah, this thing is big. Trust me when I tell you. So we're talking about a whole lot of indicators that your marriage ain't gonna survive, period. And it is nothing that God can't do as long as those who are involved, both parties, yes, it takes two to tango. No matter how great you may feel you are, there is still something that you have to do. I don't care what anybody tells you. You cannot just stand still and wait for him or her to get himself or herself together. You have got to do some things. And it's not just praying. Praying is the faith side. You are going to have to make sure your position is not necessarily standing still either. Oh man, this thing, man, we could just take up a whole hour on this piece alone because I'm watching some things happen over the years where I've had to tell people, listen, all you got to do is and just do this. And they do it for 5 minutes and they don't see any results. And then poof, everything goes down the drain. Oh, they're not acting like this and they're not doing that. And I'm sorry. Whatever God needs to deliver you from, it's not going to take 5 minutes. It's not going to take 5 minutes for them to be delivered either. If you want this thing, there are things that you have to do because I'm going to tell you something. While God is working on that person, he's also needing to work on you. There are some things that he needs to perfect in you while he's working on the other individual. So if we standing still thinking we all perfect and we just petting our feet and waiting, nah. So go back and listen to Monday and think about everything that's being said. Go to God. And I'm going to tell you something. Even if you're not in a relationship, go to God and ask God to prepare you for whenever there is a relationship. Okay? All right. Well, that's how we spend our Monday. And that's Tuesdays. That's what you missed yesterday. Okay? All right. Well, today is Wow Wednesday, everybody. We are halfway through the week and giving God thanks that I got a little more strength than I did yesterday at this time, so I can be here with you. Well, we got our girlfriend Vivian coming with her socially conscious segment. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Autism Acceptance Month.
Autism Acceptance Month is about learning more about autistic people and how we can be kind and supportive classmates. But while April is Autism Acceptance Month, autism doesn't stop in April for autistic people and those who love them. It's 24/7. You may have an autistic student in your class one day, maybe even right now. Autism looks different for everyone. Some people are very social, while others prefer quiet. Some might need extra support and care their whole lives. The most important thing? Being understanding and respectful. When I was little, I didn't talk until I was 2.5 years old, but that didn't mean I didn't have thoughts or feelings. I just communicated differently. Today, I have a full-time job speaking on topics like autism and inclusion with schools and companies, helping people learn how to be more understanding and inclusive. This is great. A little kindness can go a long way. When we show kindness and include others, we make the world a better place. Happy Autism Acceptance Month, everyone.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Giving God thanks that we've made it safely through the middle of the week. It may not be quite what you want it to be. However, it ain't what it used to be, hopefully. And we know that as long as God is doing his job and you are doing yours, you're going to move forward. Okay, so make sure you check in with Pastor Steph. I don't know you're in the room if you don't say good morning. So we got our first check-in of the morning. Good morning, Miss Katie. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Teresa. Thank you for being in the room. Hey, Sherry. Oh, love to see when you're here. Good morning, Lady Tamika. I'll be checking you out in a couple of minutes. Hey, our friend Serge. Good morning. How are you? Daquan. Oh, love to see your name pop up in our chat room. And thank you for your amens and helping me understand that I got that confirmation going on. Somebody's listening. Thank you so much. And let's say good morning to the ladies who keep it, hold it down. They keeping it. Oh, man, we couldn't do without them. Good morning to Shantice. Good morning, Shantice. We're going to be checking you later as well. And we're saying good morning to our girl, Anika. Good morning. And thank you so much for joining us. Well. We all know what time it is. It is time to hear from our girl Vivian and her socially conscious segment. Let's say good morning to Vivian. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I'm a little better. Thank you so much.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. You know what I always like to ask you. What you got for us today?
All right. Today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with a warning for all drivers as a new stop sign law that's set to come into effect in just a couple of months is going to change the way cyclists navigate intersections. They say the new law will allow cyclists to carry their momentum on the roads and treat stop signs as yield signs and red traffic lights as stop signs. So rather than coming to a complete stop, cyclists will be able and allowed to continue through intersections if they deem it safe to do so. The practice known as the Idaho stop has been credited with improving safety for cyclists since it was first implemented in Idaho back in 1982. So now they are now bringing that into the United States, and they are warning drivers to be more aware when coming to those stop signs and traffic lights. So drivers are being warned to take extra precaution when they come to a stop sign because cyclists are no longer expected to come to a complete stop. They say the new law will not only protect cyclists, but also benefit motorists by keeping cyclists out of blind spots at intersections. So this new law will be taking effect during the summertime. So if you are a driver, make sure you are taking extra precaution as this new law is taking effect. Next, we have some good news for our Bronx residents. They say Dwight Clinton High School's principal, Pierre Orb, has been named New York State's High School Principal of the Year for transforming the once troubled Bronx school. Orb took the helm of Dwight Clinton High School back in 2017 at a time when the institution faced serious challenges. Graduation rates were low, student engagement was lacking, and the school struggled to maintain a positive reputation. One of his primary initiatives was to introduce an initiative called Career Pathway Programs. It was designed to prepare students for college and the workforce. These programs include courses in computer science, nursing, business, music production, dance, and commercial arts. Additionally, the Macy Honors Program extended its offerings to encompass fine arts, engineering, science, and agriculture, ensuring that the students had access to well-rounded education that aligned with their interests and career aspirations. So he's really putting in a lot of programs to make sure these kids stay interested in school and that it is preparing them for their future once they leave high school. They say under Orb's leadership, graduation rates soared from 48%, and it is now at a 97% graduation rate. With major improvements in college enrollment and readiness, students say Orb's values have shaped their outlook beyond the classroom. So thank God for Principal Orb, 48 to 97%. That is amazing. Next, we have a very interesting story as reports say New York State prisons are looking to release inmates convicted of non-violent crimes up to 110 days early as a response to the current staff crisis. The prisons commissioner wrote in a memo Monday, eligible inmates must have an approved place to stay within 15 to 110 days of their scheduled release date. The decision is meant to strike a balance between the safety of those working and living in correctional facilities and public safety. Prison superintendents are expected to submit the first list by April 4th. To be eligible for early release, inmates must meet the following criteria. They must not have been convicted of serving A1 or A2 felony, non-drug offenses, Class B and through E violent felony offenses or sex offenses. They must have residences approved by community supervision that are not shelters or DSS placements, and they have to be within 15 to 110 days remaining on their sentencing before they can be approved for an early release date. And now for our wild story of the week. Reports say that deportation is taking things a little too far, at least in some people's opinion. They say one man's time is running out. His name is Jose Alfredo. He is a dialysis patient in Illinois who needs a life-saving kidney transplant. His donor, who is also his brother, Jose Gonzalez, has been in immigrant detentions. He has been in a immigrant detention center for nearly a month and is at risk of being deported to Venezuela. The story goes that Gonzalez, the brother, 43, arrived in the United States from Venezuela last year to reunite with his brother, who at the time was diagnosed with end-stage renal disease or kidney failure in December of 2023. Since then, Gonzalez has been caring for his younger brother, and they share the same mom. The one who has been diagnosed is 37. He goes to a center 3 times a week at 4 a.m. for 4-hour dialysis sessions. And on March 3rd, he was returning home from a session when Gonzalez greeted him, made him breakfast, took care of him, and then he stepped outside of his home and was approached by several immigration and customs enforcement agents. They arrested him, took him to Clay County Detention Center in Indiana, where he is currently being held. Gonzalez sought asylum in the United States, but after he did not pass an initial credible fear interview, immigration authorities placed him under arrest, and they placed him into the detention centers. He was still allowed to remain in the United States under ICE supervision, which we have heard before. They're saying that currently there are 179,000 people who are being monitored through ankle monitors from the ICE because they are lower level importance at the time. So 179,000 people were able to stay in the United States as long as they were under ICE supervision and wearing ankle monitors. He was one of them. But unfortunately, now that Trump is in office and he is making it his business to deport as many illegal people as he can get his hands on, now these two brothers have fallen into that category. And one brother who is legal here, who is a citizen here, is now facing death because his donor is being deported back to Venezuela. So some people are saying this is going too far. They're saying that they need to let this man out so that he can go through the process of donating his kidney to his brother. And others are saying, hey, illegal is illegal. Send him back. So of course we want to hear from you all. What do you say? Should they send him back or let him out and allow him to save his brother's life technically? But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories that you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is VivianBM. And come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers, and thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. We can't wait to get chopping on these stories. So we're going to catch you in a few minutes.
Yes.
All righty. All right. Let's see who's checked into the room. Since we said good morning initially. Okay. And Daquan is saying, congratulations, Clinton High School. And Vivian says, nice. And Daquan says, this is an awesome thing. Teresa says, I went to Clinton. I went to Clinton High School. Yeah. And there's a lot of history. Absolutely. So we're going to talk about that in a second, about this DeWitt Clinton High School, what do you call it? Story. Listen, everybody shout out their alma mater. Whatever your high school alma mater was, shout it out. You know, whether, I don't care whether you're not even from New York, but especially if you're from New York, shout it out. You know, here's the thing. We've got a whole lot of all the schools, all the high schools in New York have been converted into tier schools and multiple schools within the school. So there's not one high school that used to be an older high school that is not at least 4 schools now. And you know, it was hard to see that. It's like, yo, you know, it was like a graduation class of like 300 when I went to school. So come on, make sure you check in and tell me what your high school alma mater is. And let me see if I can catch up with my little due time crew individuals. Oh, Anika says hers is Midwood High School in Brooklyn. Anika, was that a private school? Because I don't remember that coming up on the high school list. You know, when they give you that whole thick book of different schools. I don't remember Midwood. Was that a private school? Let's see. Daquan says achieving starts with believing. Amen. What's your high school, Daquan? Give us the high school. Teaching and Professions, Walton High School. Oh, Daquan is in the Bronx. I know Walton High School. And Tamika says Bishop Loughlin Memorial High School in Brooklyn. Tamika, was that a private school? Wait, Daquan said I only went for a few weeks. It's all right. It's all right. That was in your former life, right? You have furthered that education, I'm sure. And okay, so yes, Shantice, August Martin High School in Queens. Yeah. All right. So I went to Evander Childs High School in the Bronx. Yeah, I went to EV, as they called it. And listen, you know, going back, you know, to I graduated 40 years ago. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it was so long. I was the graduating class of 84. And Shati says that's when high school was high school. That's right. That's when high school was fun and everybody, you know, whether you went for fun or if you went for, you know, being serious about your education, you know, you still went. Teresa says, is that the school you have perfect attendance in? Yes. So since Teresa asked for me to tell the story, you know, I'm forced. My hands are tied. I got to tell the story. When I graduated from high school at Evander Childs High School in the Bronx, I was given an award for never being late or absent for the entire 4 years. Who can top that? Can you match me? That's the question. Can you match me? Tamika Tamika says, oh, that's a perfect. That's Teresa's fault. That's Teresa's fault. I wasn't even gonna mention it. I was gonna stay silent because I was gonna be humble. Tell a story, Tamika. But thanks to Teresa, who always loves to hear that story. She tells me how much she has missed Steph. I love that story. When you tell it just encourages me. Wait, I'm laughing because I didn't even realize Tamika knew the story. Where's she at, Tamika? Oh, get Tamika up on the screen. Oh, Shanti said, did they have TVs when you went to school? Yes, they had TVs. They didn't have TVs in the school, but they had TVs when I went to school. Yes, I'm not that old. Yes, Daquan, that was big. They're just jealous. That's all. Because they haven't achieved it and they cannot achieve it now. Oh my goodness. Ketty says, Walton High School in the Bronx. So Daquan and Ketty have the same alma mater. And although they're not in the same age, and Daquan only went to school for a week, I'm sure they didn't cross paths even if they had been at the same time. Oh, wait. Katie says, me either. I always saw the outside of the school, not the inside. Oh, goodness. Oh, Nika says, Midwood Hornets. Woohoo! It's at Brooklyn College. All right. So she's bragging. Daquan said it's a Walton thing. Oh my goodness. Well, listen. Here's the difference. When Ketty was going, and I'm not aging her, but when Ketty was going to Walton, it was probably an all-girls high school at the time. Ketty, give me a thumbs up if that's correct, because Walton started off as an all-girls high school, and DeWitt Clinton was an all-boys high school when it first started. So by the time Teresa went, it was integrated with females. Yeah. Yep, I was right. And Clinton was boys. Yeah, I know. I'm a Bronxite. I may, be from Queens now, but I'm a Bronx girl. So I kind of know the schools. And I definitely remember Walton and Clinton were exclusively, Walton was for girls, because when I went to school, Walton was for girls. I have a girlfriend who graduated from Walton, and Clinton was for the boys. Yep. Katie gives that thumbs up. So where's Tamika at? She's not coming up on this screen. She not coming to talk to me today. Shanti's get Tamika up on this screen. Good morning.
Good morning. I laughed myself until I snorted this morning. Oh, the story about perfect attendance.
Listen, Tamika, that's Teresa's favorite story since she's met me. And she craves for me to tell that story for every, periodically. So don't be killing, her joy hearing the story of Pastor Steph's perfect attendance, because you just don't have that, that history. Come on, don't be a
goes along with Al's. Abraham was the father. And that would have to be the people that listened for a while before we became an actual visual show. Oh, you got to hear my husband do it. One day, I guarantee you, I'll prep him.
Oh, my God. No, please. Yes, if you were not from Blog Talk, you would not have had the pleasure of hearing Isaac rap by Al, my brother Al. So we yes. Good morning, Terrence. Good morning. Yes, thank God I am feeling slightly better. Terrence, put your high school alma mater in the chat room. We're throwing out our high schools here. KL, when Kenny went to high school, they had class outdoors under the tree. Yo, you didn't even say good morning. You didn't even say good morning, and you over here like dissing her? Really? You know what? We're going to cut off your mic. See? Look, Tamika. We're going to cut off his mic, and he ain't even got a mic on today.
Yeah, already started.
Yes. So, Anika says, oh, man, you mentioned it. We're going to hear that rap later this week.
Friday.
Oh, Pastor KL, since you in the room, we know what high school that you come from, but make sure you put it in the chat room. Tamika, what are some of the great memories from high school?
Just, lunchtime, a lot of times the singers hung together, the cheerleaders hung together. For some reason, we all seem to categorize ourselves. And so at any time at lunch, you'd find, people harmonizing, and, the rappers would come in the middle just to kind of freelance. And it was a lot of fun. So like looking forward to lunchtime. There was no, I'm going to go over here in the corner unless you were a loner, So most of us kind of hung out together. You got people beating on the table, So lunchtime was always the best.
Okay. We got Terrence checking in from Queens Vocational Technical High School. All right. And KL Music and Arts. Okay. So we got 2 more alma maters up in there. Shanti said that's when high school was high school. What can you say about that, Tamika?
That's when you really start to see people's character, shift, and then you start to kind of see that a lot of times, whatever it is that they were doing in high school, that's who they become. That's their entrance way. Sometimes, people will grow out of it, but a lot of times you'll see somebody and then 20 years later, you still such and such, you still such and such, that growing period, really growth spurts, individuality. And that's when people become who they are during that time frame.
Okay. I'm sorry, Serge. I did miss. It went right past me. I was probably laughing about my story. Science Skills Center High School in Brooklyn. All right, Serge. Serge has checked in, and yep, he did it because that's right after Teresa asked, "Is that the high school you have perfect attendance in?" So that blew it. Serge came in a little too soon. I was too busy laughing. So I'm sorry, I would not eliminate you. Pastor KL says his favorite subject was spades.
I still don't know how to play spades.
Are you serious? Wow.
I'll take my black card, please.
Oh my goodness gracious. And you're from the you're not from the new school. You're from the kind of like the old school. So everybody, we gotta have a spades session for you and others who don't know how to play. And while we're teaching, I'll make sure to include the perfect attendance story. Because nothing helps to perfect spades other than perfect attendance. Come on, Tamika. You know what? Don't hate.
Torturing me.
Wait. Daquan says, well, in that case, mine was spit with one hand behind your back. Wait, do you remember that game? You remember spit?
I remember, again, I wasn't allowed to play cards. I reneged one time and they forbid me from the table. They wouldn't let me play spits. They wouldn't let me play any card game. They just, I was like, well, I didn't know the little card was back. Oh, there it is right here. And so the whole time, so I went with the music and arts table. We were singing and dancing, and that's why I was in that corner.
Well, first of all, if you call it spits, you wouldn't have been allowed to even sit at the table because they would definitely kick you out of the table. I was playing spit in elementary school. That's how far back that goes. And KL says spades is not for the weak ones. Wait. She said there is no S in spit. So, oh well. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's Anika says, Tamika, you're looking to die. This is what happens. Spades is actually how I became cool with Ketty Davis. Wow. So look at Ketty from the spades table to the Lord. Go ahead, Ketty. Doing your thing. Where's Shantice? You know,
good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, ladies?
Good morning. Good morning. What was your okay? So Tamika says her favorite class during high school was lunchtime. What's your favorite class?
I don't know what it was, but everyone used to hang out in the communications room. I don't know why. We'll be in there making music videos, reenacting film, scenes from our favorite films. We would cut other classes, but go in there. And I guess the teacher was like, well, I'd rather y'all be in here than y'all either leaving the school building or roaming the hallways. So we would always be able to be in the communications room. There was another separate room in that room. It was called the editing room. So sometimes some of them would be in there. Some students would be in there editing, the short films or the music videos. The rest of us would be in there, but laughing and chilling and listening to music. And I remember one day I took, like, when they had the TVs that were on the stand and you could roll them.
Yeah.
And I went in the corner and I turned off all the lights. Now it was a lot of us in the classroom. I turned off all the lights. I was in there watching Friday the 13th. And I was like, listen, I don't care what y'all do, but I'm setting the mood for my movie time. And I was in there chilling, watching the movie. But yeah, that class was so much fun. And the teacher I really think that was her mentality. Like, I'd rather y'all be in here, especially if the alternative is leaving the building during school hours. Everybody just coming here. So that really made the day a lot of the time.
Okay. Is Vivian ready? We'll start on our socially conscious conversation. All right, there we go. As long as we see Vivian behind the wheel, we good. Yeah. All right. So, speaking of behind the wheel, Vivian is talking about this morning. There's a new stop sign law called the Idaho Stop, and it focuses on cyclists and why they need to, and how they're going to change the rule from, generally the cyclist must follow the same traffic laws as the motorist. But now they're making a shift here where the red stop sign is going to be like a yield sign. But when they come to a traffic light, it'll be as though, they have to make that complete stop. Do you think this is going to make a difference? They say this is to protect both the cyclists and the drivers. Tamika, you think it's going to make a difference?
I think they're already doing it, and now to make it a law is even scarier. As a driver, that's one of the things that annoys. I can't tell you how many times I've been behind the wheel and I go, ooh, because they just get out there, and sometimes their vision, they may not necessarily see the car that's literally that close to them. I really think that I've always felt like they should govern the same rules. I have been, as a pedestrian, walking across the street on my light, and this guy on a bicycle literally did one of these, right past me. And I really don't think that it's safe. I have not, scooters, motorcycles, bicyclists. It's a scary world out there. And then you think about people just don't have any patience, whether you're on a bike or on a car. I'm just so concerned about lives. And when you give people the pass to do what they want to do, I think it's calamity.
Okay. Shantice, Vivian mentioned that the article says this should help with the blind spot for drivers. As a driver, do you think that this is going to protect, this new law is going to protect the cyclists and the drivers?
All I'm envisioning is a driver up against the bike lane, seeing a cyclist and then like saying, "You gonna die," because it's, as a driver, a lot of the times it is so annoying, these cyclists. So if they are riding their bike as if they're driving their car, there's some of them go like 3 miles per hour and you already want to run them over, or they're acting like the motorcycles and they're going between in and out the cars, and already okay, now a lot of the drivers are used to there being the bike lanes, especially if you're driving downtown Manhattan, so on and so forth. But now that they don't have to stop, I feel like this is giving them more of a reason to do what Lady Tamika just explained. Like, I'm gonna just dart out when I want to, how I want to. I may ride in between the bike lane and the regular car lane. I just see it being a lot more accidents. I don't see this as being something beneficial for anyone, because it's already annoying a lot of the times for the drivers. I can't really speak for the cyclists, because even with riding a bike, this is why I would never ride a bike downtown, because you can't be on the sidewalk even though they do, and that's annoying. They need to implement that. They need to start giving tickets for these mopeds and bikes and all of that on these sidewalks. But I can only imagine how for them it can be a little more challenging too, because it's like, okay, I have a bike up against these vehicles, but they need some heavy laws on them. It shouldn't be any leniency, because I just see Vivian being able to come with a whole lot of socially conscious about this bicyclist was found, his leg was on 49th Street, but the front wheel was on 51st Street, like it's just gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess.
Viv, do you feel like this is going to help in any way to add this new?
No, I don't think so.
Rule?
Yeah, okay. I don't think so, because cars are already using stop signs as yield signs. So now it's going to be a race as to who's going to pass the stop sign first. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to help. I think, like Shanti said, like Lady Tamika said, it's just going to make matters more dangerous. And the only thing it's really doing is, allowing the cyclist to do it without being ticketed or without having to face any consequences, because now it's legal for them to pass the stop sign without fully coming to a stop. I don't think it's going to help with the safety. I don't see how they're saying this is beneficial to both the cyclists and the motorists. I don't agree, but I guess we'll see.
All righty. Teresa says, as a sometime cyclist, I'll wait. These drivers don't yield, and I'm not risking my life trying to enforce it. I actually agree. I don't think this is going to help at all. I agree definitely with, how many times, let me tell you something. As an accessorized passenger, one of my biggest complaints is telling these guys, that's a stop sign. I'm sorry. You are to stop. They put their foot on the brake slightly and slide on through as though it's not even a yield sign. A yield sign is much different than even what they're doing. And I'm constantly complaining about, I'm not in a rush. Stop with the slowing down at the stop sign opposed to stopping. So now you got the motorist that's doing it. You've got the cyclist that's doing it. And I agree with y'all. It's going to be a rat race as to who hits that intersection first. And this is going to be a mess. I don't know who came up with this rule. I don't care what state they saw it in, what country they saw it in. It's not going to work. Nope. Because again, as a driver, as a passenger, nah, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work by far. This is a mess waiting to happen. And I agree with Shantice. Yeah, it's gonna be a whole lot of other socially conscious conversations coming as to how this was failing miserably. All right. So as you know, what launched our high school conversation in the Bronx at D. Clinton High School, you have, what is it? Is it a principal, Vivian?
Yes, the principal.
Okay, the principal. He's being honored because he has helped to turn this high school around. The graduation rate was low, and he took it from 48 to 98% graduation rate. He's implemented a lot of different career pathway programs. And, you know, these days and times with these alphas and the young people in school, this is a huge, huge feat to be able to now get these graduations through. I'm going to start with you, Tamika. What's your thought?
I think that's amazing and it's beautiful, you know, to try and get our youth educated, you know. It is so important in this day and age because speaking from experience, you know, from the perspective of someone who works in the school, you know, trying to get our youth motivated to study and to learn and, you know, to apply themselves, you know, knowing that, you know, if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it in the future. For someone, an educator, to literally push our youth through and get them not just to go to school a couple of classes, but to literally graduate. You know, I think that's a high accolade and, you know, big shout outs to them for doing that.
All righty. Shantice, you know, we know how difficult it is to get these kids through graduation, especially a high school. You know, they're honoring and bigging up this DeWitt Clinton principal.
Yes.
What say you?
I agree. I think it's great. I think it's phenomenal because especially in the news, even with socially conscious alone, we've heard so many stories about a lot of these principals, superintendents who've turned a blind eye to crime going on within the schools. You know, these situations going on in the schools that needed their attention, that needed their guidance, where them having those roles were needed, you know, to bring the gavel down or make a final decision that would benefit the students and or the faculty, and they've been doing nothing. So to hear that this principal went above and beyond in making sure, it almost reminds me of Joe Clark, Eastside High. Like, no, we're gonna do what we need to do.
The same thing.
Yes, to get this graduation. You know, like I don't care who I gotta reprimand, who I have to chastise. We gonna get these grades up because this is unacceptable. So I love it, and it serves as a great incentive for other principals, other superintendents, other teachers, guidance counselors to know that there are people who actually still care about these children's education. Like, no, it's not okay. No shade to anyone who has, but it's not okay to just drop out and get your GED. Like, come on. You know, unless it's some extreme circumstances as to why you couldn't attend school. You know, it's no need for you to get a diploma, but you barely got the diploma. You know, so you have to, you know, push in that, make sure you excel mentality. So I think it's great. And he should definitely, it was a male, right? Male?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He should definitely get his flowers. And like, I don't know if they have some type of alliance or something, but definitely put him at the one at the top of the totem pole, you know, as someone to aspire to, because that's great.
All right, Viv.
Yeah, that's good, especially with it being in the Bronx, and to go from 48, I believe they said 48% to 98% is very impressive. To get these kids to care about their education is
Mhm.
a feat.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is about these
Mhm.
kids. They are in kindergarten talking about, I hate school. I hate
Yes, I can't
Mhm.
wait.
school. I'm
Yep.
like, child,
Yep.
you have a long way to go. You are in kindergarten. You ain't even get started yet.
Right.
So
Right.
it's nice to see somebody actually caring enough to put in the work, come up with these programs, get these kids interested in school, and not only just in graduating high school, but he's getting them interested in college and the years beyond high school. So he is absolutely doing a fantastic job, and hopefully, this will inspire other principals and other people in power
Mhm.
to do the same, because it's absolutely needed. Kids are definitely losing interest
Absolutely.
in their education at an early age.
Mhm.
So by the time they get to high
Mhm.
school, they ain't thinking about no education. They going to high school to meet a girl or have fun. Nobody's really taking education serious anymore.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
thought that
We
was the meetup spot to get in a relationship. School.
no. We've got a check-in from Deacon Diallo. Good morning.
Good
Thank you
morning.
so
Good
much for
morning.
stopping by and giving us a shout out. I am uh excited for our students in the Bronx because they are students of color, minorities, students where people are paying attention to. They're not just allowing them to coast, they're just not allowing them to just exist, but they are pushing them to accomplish something and to get their head on straight. I always say to people, I'm like, if you can't finish K through 12, the rest of your life gonna be real
Amen.
difficulty. You're gonna have a hard time catching up. It's because it takes a lot. It's discipline. So when you find children in the kindergarten, like Vivian said, who are to my hate school, I always chuckle because I say the same thing to myself, like, child, as Marab was saying, you haven't even gotten started yet. And if you're already hating it, then something is wrong, because either you don't like the discipline, you don't like the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now when something is a little difficult for you, you hate it. You want to, you want to drop out. You want to bow out of it. And clearly, this principal is doing something. He has found that niche. He's found that key component that is getting these children interested. He's helping to push them. Not only that, remember now, not only are you, in order to get a graduation rate, you're dealing with the students, you got to deal with these teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So you also have to encourage and support and help to push these teachers, because the teachers are rapidly becoming real disenchanted because they're not getting the support that they're looking for. They're not getting the cooperation that they need. So, you're talking about a principal who has identified with the students and the teachers, and now whatever chemistry that's being put together is getting these children to that graduation, and again getting them into college or interested into college or whatever it's taking to get the job done. He's doing the thing. So shout out to him, for really working hard and not giving up. It is very difficult not to give up when it's stacked against you. And with the attitude of these kids these days, it's
I'll be done
really
closing
hard to
school.
push yourself. It's hard to push yourself. So, we're really saluting him today, and hopefully, like you all have said, it is an encouragement to the other principals, and maybe he can hold some classes or something like that to get these kids up and out of there the proper way. We got the New York State prisons, where they'll end up if they don't finish school. Woo! Well, they've got a new program. If you're short 110 days or something in that area, they're allowing you to be released early, depending on some stipulations. You can't be convicted of A1 and A2 crimes, no sex offenses, no drugs, and you have to again have that short time left. They're not gonna give you 300 and something days, and they're gonna turn it into 110 days. And you have an approved place to stay. And Tamika, how do you think this is gonna go?
You want to hope that it will go away well. One of the hardest things for a person who has served time to do is find a dwelling place. You know, some of the places that realize that, you know, sometimes you've been incarcerated for a while, you know, and family and loved ones, you're not coming to stay with me. You know, that's the first thing that they say, you know, so they already say to you that you can't stay in a shelter. And there are other stipulations, you know, I'm sure, you know, that tell you that you can't stay here, you can't stay there because of what you've done. You know, they clearly have already said that if you've raped someone or if you've had drugs, because being out, you know, you might go back to that same cyclical cycle. You know, sometimes you have the same circles, you know, so you served your time, you go out and then you go right back in, you know, that causes recidivism, you know, so I would want to hope that would be a good thing. You know, this is some of the reason why sometimes when you get out, you have a parole officer and those type of things. I'm just kind of cautious, you know, about those moves. You know, serve your full time. You know, if that's what you're supposed to do, you only got 120 days, serve the time and then get out. You know, and then, you know, just like any other means, you know, you have to figure it out. The hard thing about that also is, you know, are you providing them means? Are you helping them? No, you're not giving them the resources. You know, they have to kind of fend for self, you know, which makes it even more difficult. So just let them serve the full time and then let them
go. Okay. Shantice, what's your thought?
I was trying to figure out who's left. So, because I'm like, okay, you said non-violent crime. If you eliminate the rapists, the one selling drugs, the one who slapped somebody, then who are you letting out? The jaywalkers? What are you talking about? So I was lost. I was like, maybe I missed something, but I say, and they, if I heard correctly, they said they're doing this for the safety of the staff.
Yeah, because now they're short staffed in the prison system.
Right.
So they figure if they let out the short timers, as they call them, and the ones who don't have violent crimes, then you don't have this overcrowding and this imbalance of, you know, staff versus inmates.
What? Who is their public relations person? I wouldn't even have put that statement out there. So all right. So y'all can go ahead and commit the crime because the criminals to police or CO ratio is, listen, y'all outweighing them. So you can go ahead and get away with this. You might have to face the judge, but if you do get locked up, don't worry about it. Tell your family you'll be right back because they're short staffed. It's something has to be done. Something has to be done. And maybe if they took care of these people a little more, then maybe people would want to take on these positions. Because I remember years ago, you never heard about this. You never heard that Rikers Island or so-and-so place or whatever prison facility was short-staffed. So now you're short-staffed, and now the people who need to be behind bars for whatever reason get to go home. That sounds crazy. So it's like a little more emphasis on this being the resolution and actually trying to come up with a resolution that will solve everyone's problem. The law-abiding citizens can feel safe because I don't have to worry about trying to drive, and I now have to worry about the cyclist and the jaywalker. And as a CO, I can get as many hours as I need and I want, because this is a job that, yes, you know, it It is a little challenging and a little unsafe at times, but I'm being taken care of and I'm making money. So I don't. This doesn't sound like a good plan at all. This just sounds like another way that they can create another loophole and people still be out here running around stopping people and getting away with it. I don't like this plan. Need to come up with another plan.
So all that to say, no.
All that to say, you got $5 I could borrow, because I'm gonna need that for my bond. I'm gonna need that for my bond, Pastor Steph. Because if you get the call in the middle of the night that I didn't slap somebody, I said, "Ma, don't worry, I'll be right back." Because I counted how many of us versus them, and they can't handle it. So I'll be home soon.
That's all right. Y'all mighty silent in this chat room. I'm dying to hear what you all think. Should these people be let out? Vivian, what say you? Shantice then went through all of that to say no, thank you.
Say you got $5. If you like to sow a seed to the bond servant, I'm gonna put my Cash App in the chat.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I agree. I don't see the point, because with all the what I do see happening is, because they're leaving this up to people who are easily influenced, I see this becoming a way that they can make $1. Like, the inmates be finding ways to get on the good side or bribe this one, put my name on that list so I can get out early. Like, I hope that there are checks and balances being put in place as to who is being put on these lists that are being handed in to who gets an early release. Because I can see this going left as to, oh, okay, we cool, or you gonna do this for me and I put you on the list. I can see that happening. So I hope that they're fully thinking this thing through as to, you're telling Sergeant so-and-so to hand you this list and you just releasing people, but who is making sure that the people that he put on this list is actually eligible for early release?
Nobody.
Whether it's 110 days or 5 days, who is making sure that he ain't putting his people on the list?
Pastor Steph, also, we just had a major layoff of COs. These COs that decided to, protest, and they have a right to protest.
Right. They let them go.
So now you let them go, and now you're like, so we should have thought about that thing now. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should release. Mm-hmm. This all becomes that you didn't do your due diligence by at least listening to what they had to say. No, we're gonna fire them all.
Absolutely. And that was one of my thoughts. One of my thoughts was, wait a minute, you just had the staff you needed. So what happened? It's funny. I always say the way Shantice phrases things is like, oh boy, because in all honesty, I was asking the same question. All right, so if I eliminated the sex offenders, if I eliminated the violent crimers, if I eliminated those who had drug offenses, then you ain't got nothing but 110 days, because you're not in there for that long.
That was
what you got, like 6. Right, that was right. That's like 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So what did you do? 2 months, and now they're telling you, okay, go ahead, we're gonna let you out. And there is no one left. There is no one left. And that's what I said when she said, I was like, why she gotta put it like that? But in all honesty, that's what it is. It's like ain't nobody really left, because like Vivian said, you talking about, okay, if you don't use drugs and you don't, that means that you easily influence once you hit the street. We got to worry about you being a reoffender and coming back up in here. Then you know what? Let the people do their time. Let the people do their time. Hire who you need to hire. Get this place fully staffed, and let the people do the time. Because in all honesty, if you fall in the category that they're saying, you really didn't serve no time to begin with, because you weren't really sentenced to much. So therefore, what, you been there for 5 minutes and now they talking about letting you out? So no. That means that you really didn't do any time. So then what have you proven? Because if they had so light offense, you didn't really give them, you'd probably let them walk anyway. So if you really felt the need to hold them because you were trying to prove a point, then to turn around and let them back out is like silly. So listen, let them stay up in there. The chat room says keep them up in there. Serge says no, thank you. They better figure it out to find a way to keep them there. Terrence says no, they should not be let out. Kenny says no, they shouldn't be let out early. No, the Due Time Crew panel has said no. Let these people do their time and call it a day. To me, I'm sorry, sentencing a person and then giving them time off for good behavior, how I warn you after you done got punished? That just makes no sense to me. But that's Pastor Steph, okay? Terrence says they need people to do more crimes. And that means more money and more blame to the blacks. They just want to listen. It ain't us that's going to be getting out early. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is us, they're gonna have that brace on, that invisible brace on so tight. If you cough hard, you going right back up in there. So you might as well go ahead and let them people just do their time and let them walk after they've done every second of their time. All right, this deportation gone too far is the question. You have Mr. Jose Alfredo, who needs a life-saving kidney transplant. He's on dialysis 3 days a week, was reunited with his brother. His brother is taking care of him, and he's scheduled to be the kidney donor for his brother. Well, he fed his brother his breakfast, went outside, smoked a cigarette, and ICE picked him up. That's just the bottom line. So he snatched up with the other 179,000 people who were being monitored by ICE when he failed to pass an interview. So earlier this week and part of last week, I did stories about people who were here, who had been given a chance to be here, somehow or another messed up, but they did not deport them, but they were kind of like on ice, for ICE and with ICE, and they were allowed to stay here as long as they did what they were supposed to do. Well, now that Trump is in office, they are now on their way out of here. So you have some people that say, listen, Mr. Jose Alfredo, too bad. Your brother has no business being here. It's time for him to be deported, and you're not gonna get this kidney transplant from your brother because he needs to be deported. You have the other group that says, you know what, release the man and let him go ahead and give his brother the kidney transplant. What say you, Viv?
I say release the man, because now that they're putting these numbers out, at least for me, they had this whole system going where you could stay in the United States as long as you were monitored, whether it was ankle monitored, or as long as you came to your appointments and you showed ICE that you were still doing the right thing, or whatever the case may be. They put these things in place from before Trump was in office, and now he's coming in here and he's just like throwing all these policies and things in the garbage and just deporting people, but you're not even considering the policies that they put in place. I just feel like it's wrong. Like, this man came out here when he heard that his brother was sick. He's here, he's not doing anything wrong. He's taking care of his brother. He was given leniency to stay in America as long as he wore an ankle monitor. He's doing what he's supposed to do in order to take care of his brother. And now y'all just throw that out the window, snatching people up and putting them in detention centers with no consideration as to, what was being put in place for them before. So I say let him be released and take care of his brother, and let's reevaluate these policies that's going on. If y'all gonna take it away, then find a way to get it done with decency, because this seems indecent. This doesn't seem right.
All righty. We got a check-in from Lee. Hey, Lee. Thank you for stopping by. Hey. And we have a check-in from Dariana Renee. I like that name. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right, Vivian says, yo, reevaluate this, let the man stay, and move on. Leave him with his ankle monitor. Shantice, what say you?
That is just disgusting. A kidney transplant. The man needs a kidney, but your whole focus is putting someone where you feel like they should be, while the powers that be need to be the ones that's deported. How about somebody deport y'all? That's just so insensitive. And one of the first things that came to mind was, if this were you, if Jose had to come and give you a kidney, how quick would you be ready to deport him? Even if you said, okay, well, as soon as y'all stitch him up, get him on that plane, get him over there, but you'll be willing to keep him here at least for that procedure. That is just so insensitive. People just have what they want to do in mind, to the point where it doesn't even matter if it's life or death for someone. He hasn't been wreaking havoc, like Vivian said. If he was here wreaking havoc and all that, and then he's, well, I'm supposed to be here to help my brother, you're like, all right, well, we don't know what to tell you, because you may not even make it to the hospital for the procedure the way you moving. It's not even a situation like that. So it's just horrible that people's own personal agendas are more important than someone else's life in multiple ways. Not even just the fact of, donating an organ, but just in general. It's just like, why? Like, you're that evil. That's not mental health. That's wickedness. That that this is it. I'm sure you did your fact finding, your research to ensure that the story was true. Okay, he's here, and the plan is to donate his kidney to his brother. I'm sure you did that. So once you found out that was legit, your response is to still get him out of here. That's it.
All righty. We got Terrence, who says, Trump's only doing this to erase what the last two presidents have done. He wants everything under his name. He wants everybody to think he's doing everything correct for his people. All right. I'm about to make y'all real mad. All right. As far as the kidney transplant, my vote is, let the man donate the kidney to his brother. Then get him up out of here.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Here's where I always get caught up. So again, the last few stories that I've done, I've talked about these people who have been on ankle monitor status. Somebody who's been like under the radar, low under the radar, because they haven't technically wreaked havoc. However, they came here and they did not complete the process, or somehow or another failed the process. So the first two stories, they failed the process. The first couple, he missed this interview date. The second woman we did, she was the one who was embezzling. She had embezzled the money, but they didn't deport her when she embezzled the money. And she hasn't been in trouble since. So now everybody's in an uproar about her having to leave. Then you have this individual who he missed his interview. So unfortunately, you've missed your interview, but you came here for a very important purpose, and the purpose you came here for was to donate the kidney. I'm having a problem with 179,000 people who are technically here illegally. I'm not caught up with this. Well, they have not wreaked any havoc. I'm not caught up on, well, y'all been here and ICE got you on ankle monitor. You ain't supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. The fact that ICE has allowed you to be here, I don't have any sympathy for you. You should have been gone. I'm not sympathetic because now all of a sudden Trump is coming. See, here's the bad part. It's the way Trump is doing all of this. He's not doing anything wrong. It's the way it's getting done. But what he's doing is not doing anything wrong. Get that man his transplant. Don't let him let the brother die, because the brother's not illegal. So you got him here, he's been here, then ship him up out of here. But I don't feel sorry that he's being deported, and I'm not asking that he should be deported. That is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you are caught up in the net. I have yet to hear somebody say that these people are being deported, but they're legally here. He is not deporting people who are legally here, as far as I'm hearing or as far as I'm reading. At that point, shame on him. But when you are, whether you under the radar, here's the thing. You've been acting good since you've been here. You're supposed to, because you ain't got to be here. You'd be a real idiot. Those who are in the gangs and wreaking havoc, you ain't supposed to be here, stupid. So now you're making noise. Be here, be quiet, and do what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to praise you for being okay, for doing what you're supposed to do. Whether you're here on borrowed time or whether you're here illegally, you're supposed to obey the law of the land. I'm not praising you for that. And if you get caught up in the net and somebody went oops and you just happen to get caught up, you went out and smoked a cigarette, you went out to buy some eggs or whatever it is, and you got snatched up, yo, you spent how much time here? Mm-hmm. You've gotten what you've gotten. You've gotten benefits that those of us who are from here could not get. Yo, you didn't live your life, O'Reilly. Go about your business. I'm sorry that you got caught up in the net, but guess what? You got caught up in the net. But definitely, as far as the transplant, I say give the man his transplant and let him live. If that's what's gonna, give him life. You ain't that desperate to deport the man that he can't stay for an extra 5 minutes. Right. Put him on a transplant list and get him that kidney. And that's what's most important. Then you take care of your deportation business. But other than that's where it ends for Stephanie. I've just watched too much injustice, too much unfairness to really be like, oh man, Trump is wrong. Trump ain't wrong. Trump is not wrong. Trump is doing what should have been done a long time ago. Mm. And it's just his nasty ways and his anger and the mean side of it is just really making it look bad. But other than that, yo, bye. Bye. Maybe the people here can get something now that you ain't giving away all the money to the people who ain't supposed to be here. How y'all getting all these benefits? And the people right here, veterans, they can't get nothing. Sorry. See you later. So, Vivian, we're about to lose you. Do you have anything before you get up out of here?
No, not really. Just in terms of the principle, it's hoping more people are like him. Do what you can for the kids in your life. Keep them interested in school, because everybody not going to be like this principal and care about them and put in their work to keep them interested in school. And just lift up those in prayer for the ones that are facing this deportation thing with no consideration. But that's it.
Okay, dokie. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Serge says, I agree. Let the brother help his brother and then deport him. All righty. We have some other concerns that the average individual has. And I want you all to weigh in. There's some things that are going on that we just don't like, whether we're for it, whether we're against it, we just don't like. And we're talking about socially conscious today. So put it out there. I don't like that the green light stays green, 5 seconds too long, whatever it is, put it out there. Shantice, what's something that gets your goat? And I want you to make sense. Get your goat. Just watching some of this done. And even if it's not a huge thing in this world, it's something that's caught your attention. And put it up in the chat room. Let's talk about it. We got another half hour. let's get that chat going.
I don't like when a pastor challenges my intelligence. I don't like something that gets me. Oh my goodness. You know, when there's so much, you're trying to pinpoint one. Okay, well, since we brought up the schools, something else may come to mind. But since we brought up the schools, I really don't like this integrating. I despise this integrating of these schools. How the high schools have now been broken down. There's like 50 different schools in this one building, and you pretty much have the kindergartners in the same building with the 12th graders. I cannot stand it. I feel like it's just a setup for some things to, God forbid, go on. You're not manning. We just got finished speaking on how most of these faculty members and all, they're not on it the way they really should be. So you may have, okay, the third floor in the east wing is for the 11th graders, but the west wing is for the 12th graders, and we'll just keep the 8th graders on the first floor. But there's nothing preventing the 8th graders from going up on the third floor. Like what do you really prevent? It's just, I don't like it. Walking in the building and actually seeing the different age ranges in there is just, in my opinion, it's just a setup for something bad to happen. If Johnny 18 can get arrested for dating and having intercourse with Sally who's 16, you don't think anything could happen with Johnny who's 17 and Sally who's in the 9th grade or the 8th grade? Especially the way these kids look. I've been doing some career days, and I've been in the junior high school buildings where there's no high school students, and I've had to question if those were high school students, because these kids are developed, and I'm looking like, you sure you get left back? I mean, just they look like almost grown women when it comes to the body. You know, the face still looks like they're a baby, but their body is just like, you look more developed than me. And I'm in my 30s, you know, so I can't imagine you walking past a 12th grader, whether it's walking in the building, because there's no separate entrances, and you walking in the building and he not trying to holler at her. Like, there's just no more, especially with the morals just decreasing as the days go on. And I can't, that I hate. I despise that.
Well, to me, it makes no sense for it to happen when you have made the decision to break down the high schools.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one high school that's now divided into 4. And that's not bad because they have focus. So one may be business,
right?
One may be school of nursing,
right?
One may be, the arts. So it gives the children an opportunity to focus on something that they may like,
right?
And it allows them to have smaller classroom settings, which is great, so they can get more attention and things like that. So you develop a wonderful plan as to how it can benefit the student body.
Right.
But then I agree with you on the flip side of it. Then where is the need to integrate junior high and high school? Junior high schools goes to the 8th grade now, and the high school starts in the 9th grade. Well, you don't have too many high schoolers because you've just broken it down into 4. So you don't have that overwhelming class and teacher student ratio,
right? Because
you just got finished solving that problem. So why not leave junior high school in the junior high school? Let them do 6th, 7th, and 8th in the junior high school, and let them be with people their age, people who are focusing on, what's his name? Trump is trying to dismantle the Board of Education. There's a lot of thought put into how this has been laid out. Elementary school, junior high school, high school. They really, does it need tweaking? Everything needs tweaking. So yes, you can do things a little better than that. But elementary school children, they have their focus. Right. Junior high school, they have their focus. High school has their focus. And each section is preparing them to move into the next level of life. And then junior high school is preparing them for high school. High school is preparing them for college and for life. And integrating, like you said, Shantice, the junior high with the high school, you got two different mentalities going on. Right. So why would you integrate? You've taken the time. That's what I'm saying. You've done this research where you've not only broken down one high school, every single high school in the city of New York has been dismantled. Every single one of them. There is not one of them that is still one high school. So you've done all of this to now integrate two very different levels of mentality. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you 100%. You're playing a real dangerous game. You know, Brother Al is a dean in a school like that. Right. Where they're integrated, the junior high and the high school. And that is really not a smart move. Because like you said, you've got people who they're charging as adults when you commit certain crimes in certain age groups, but you're going to put them with children. Right. Makes no sense. Like it doesn't. Right. It doesn't. And you're setting them up for failure, and separating them by flaws is useless because they need to be in a separate school setting altogether with people their age. And you're really not gonna help them out at all. What's going on in the chat room? Oh, okay, that's a different conversation. But yes, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I don't like the integration either. I think that you are not focusing properly. Right. And now you're pushing them into a whole different. Listen, what young girl is not going to be mesmerized when a high schooler is talking to her? Because
I was that girl, Pastor Steph, and I was in the proper school. They had my junior high school was 7th, 8th, and 9th, so that's not crazy, So by the time I got to the high school building, I arrived there as a sophomore, but being mesmerized that I'm in high school and I'm in here with high school, not only high school boys, but now older boys. So here it is. I'm 14 walking into this building and there's 17-year-olds in here. Now, but we're all still high schoolers. So like you said, now you got 12-year-olds. Because I have a late birthday. So when the school semester starts, I'm not the age I'm supposed to be yet for that grade. So I'm walking in, I'm not 15 yet, I'm 14 years old, walking into this building and there's 17. Some people have late birthdays. Some people got left back. So there's 17, 18-year-old boys in here. And it's just like, wow, you're already thinking you hot stuff because you're in high school. Now, you hot stuff because you're in high school and there's boys. God forbid they think you're cute. Oh, it's over. It's over. And again, you got parents who are missing the mark because they got to have a life too. You got the faculty who could care less. You got the students beating up on school safety, so they're not really on it the way they used to be. Back when I was going to high school, them school safety, they ain't played. It was almost like COs in there. They were on it. Now it's just like, for the most part, you have the few who still care, but ain't nobody really, because again, it's just, listen, I'm not risking my life for these kids. These kids are bugged out. Let me come here, clock in, act like I'm doing something, check these metal detectors, right, and clock out and get up out of here. That's it. Absolutely. So as you said, also, it is really setting up, and no one's thinking about this. Like no one is taking the time. You got consultants for movies, but you don't have consultants for when you're making these kind of decisions. You need to these kind of things need to be brought to the community board, because I would definitely be one to stand up and say, excuse me, are y'all giving any self-esteem classes going on up in here? Because y'all gonna have a whole lot of pregnant young mothers or soon to be mothers in here, or God forbid some rape cases and all of that, because this is what you're setting it up for.
Absolutely. We got Terrence who says they're putting all of everybody in one place to keep track of us, and they know we don't work good together. No, you know, the terminology "we don't work well together" is in many shape, forms, or fashions. It doesn't gel well at all. So you're kind of killing, you know, one side for the other. So absolutely. Ketty says the homelessness. There's too many people who's homeless that's on the trains and sleeping wherever they can, as well as the veterans who serve this country, and they don't do anything for them. Shantice.
Absolutely. We've spoken about this a lot on his Due Time with Pastor Steph alone. And they've shown that there is money. Like, stop telling us there's no money. There's money. Because y'all put money into all this other foolishness. But yet, especially the veterans, y'all have drafted, y'all got commercials, y'all have enforced and encouraged people to join the Navy, the Army, whatever, but yet they come home and they can't afford a bag of chips. And it's like, well, how does this work? That I've gone somewhere and risked my physical, mental, emotional, and or spiritual health if I make it back. My relationship is not the same with my family if I make it back, but yet I can't even get housing. You can't even put me in the projects. I can't, like, you, and that's not good enough, you know, for them. But I can't even be guaranteed NYCHA. That's horrible. But yet y'all got money to fund all these things that are so irrelevant and damaging and all that. Yeah, they're not doing anything. We're seeing more and more homeless people, not only here in New York, but everywhere. We going to Vegas, and oh my goodness, on the strip alone. On the main strip,
young people.
Yes, like you can tell they're like late teens, and the only reason why they look older is because they have to rough it out. We will look old too if we can brush our teeth every day. We look very old, you know. So there's definitely a whole lot that can be done, but again, everyone is out for that selfish ambition. You know, it's not affecting me. It ain't me and mine. Half the time, they don't care if it's mine. It ain't me, so I'm not concerning myself with it, and it's horrible.
You know, like I said earlier, I may sound a little rough when I say, you know, there's the people who are being monitored by ICE via ankle monitor because they are okay. They're not here legally, but for whatever the reason is, they have not been deported. And I'm sure there are people that don't like when I say it, but I have to be honest. I'm thinking about that veteran. I'm thinking about that individual who went and, you know, sacrificed their life. And now here they are back. You mentioned they can't even get housing, you know, in NYCHA. Well, one of the articles that I've been doing that I just haven't had a chance to get to is the fact that housing, NYCHA, is being occupied. They say at least 30% of illegal immigrants, people who are not here legally. And I don't know anybody who's ever been in housing by NYCHA. They have to wait easily 10 years to get from the waiting list into an apartment. Vivian did, I believe last year, she did two times for a socially conscious segment. She did where they had like thousands of apartments available because they hadn't gotten to them to clean them out. Mm-hmm. So you have the vacant housing, so veterans cannot occupy that. And then the apartments that are occupied, you've got 30%. Now, I've been born here. Mm-hmm. I've paid my taxes here, but it takes me 10 years to get into a project apartment. How long does it take an illegal immigrant
No time.
to get into that very same apartment. And I'm going to be concerned that they are now being taken out of this country. They are utilizing benefits that we have not been given. The veterans cannot get access into housing where they have access to, but based on what? Why would a person have to wait 10 years? Because once most people get into housing, a lot of them don't leave.
Right.
It's generational.
Right.
So if I move in there and you're a dependent on my lease, and I die, or I just, I come up out of it, and
Right.
I can go into a different, like a building, a co-op, or I can go into a home, or I relocate. I go to live, in the South. And I say, okay, well, you know what, Shantice, you can afford to stay here. So I'm going to give you this apartment, and you're eligible because you make, you don't make a whole lot of money. And even if you do, they just charge you 30% of your income.
Right.
Now you get to stay. So that apartment still does not become vacant.
Right.
It's just generational. So now this is why people are waiting for so long. So now I sound harsh and insensitive because I'm saying if you've been living here illegally, see, I don't think that people are focusing on that.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't go somewhere and live there illegally.
Right.
But
Right.
we're
Right.
mad because we don't get the benefits that we are. If I make $5 too much, I'm on Social Security, and I cannot get a supplemental health benefit. So I can't get Medicare and Medicaid. I can't get that because I get too much in Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to spread $5 amongst all these people. So now, again, people who speak like I do sound real harsh and say, well, Trump is mean, and, you're just saying they should go. Yes, I'm sorry, they should go. Because I think that there's enough, there's only enough in that pie that allows those of us who are here to do and get what we need to do and get. Mm-hmm. So you have people with children who don't have a certain level of health coverage, that the children who come here illegally, they get 100% free health care.
That is crazy.
They get off the bus, off the boat, off the plane. They get 100% free health care. I'm not telling you something that I think, I'm telling you something that I know. We have to consider these things. We can't leave them here and say, don't give them benefits.
Right.
So
right.
Let them go back to their own country and live off the benefits that their country has.
Right.
I'm sorry. I can't feel more sorry for you than I'm looking right here at my own fellow United
to try to survive
States
without.
Mm-hmm. Right. And look at my elderly people, our elderly people. So veterans, they only get health care. And remember, we were told that they don't get 100% health care either, y'all. Veterans do not get 100% health care.
No,
they have to pay.
Yes, they still have to pay.
So what are you saying to me? You're saying leave all these people here for free when these people can't even get 100% free health care? They should be able to walk up in these VA hospitals, into these VA clinics, and get whatever it is they need. But we were blown away when a veteran, I'm going to find a way to get Pastor Ed up on here, because Pastor Ed, I don't know if he's still working for the Veterans Administration, but he's a wealth of information. And I'm telling you, we spoke to a veteran who says, no, they have to pay. We were blown away because I never was told that. I was always told they can go up in there and they can get free health care.
Right.
So you're telling me that they're splitting the pie with people who have missed interviews, not completed paperwork properly. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you get no sympathy. Terrence says all the homeless people are the veterans, and the younger ones are the ones that spend all that money on college. He also says try to get a job. They can't because they're too overqualified, and they give all the jobs to the minorities who's not supposed to be here, the illegal ones, for less money.
Mm-hmm.
So I cannot. If it's a choice between here it is, leave them here when all of our United States citizens can get everything they need,
Right.
and they don't have to beg and borrow for it.
Right.
They don't have to jump through all kinds of hoops to get it.
Right.
Because listen, we just did a story, what was it, last month and a half, where they were allowing them to get benefits, and all they had to do was bring ID, even if the ID was expired.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, what is that? Y'all can feel sorry for these. I'm sorry, and I'm a person who is a proponent for life. I honor life, but it has to be fair. Right. And I cannot. Thank you so much, Shantice. Thank you, those of you who contributed to our socially conscious conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. You know, I was just talking to someone yesterday, and I said to them, I said, you know, when you have to take a hard stance, sometimes it hurts to take that stance, because you come across as the bad guy. You come across as insensitive. You come across as someone who's not thinking across the board. You know, I've been in this country all my life. I've seen a lot. I'm a 60s girl. So from the 60s, the mid 60s, until 2025, next year, God spares my life, I'll be 60 years old. That means I've seen 60 years worth of stuff. I've been involved with a lot of different things. I'm not a one-note Charlie. I've done volunteer work. I've been a part of nonprofit organizations. I've run my own nonprofit organizations. I've helped to run $1 million companies, millions of dollars companies. I've seen dollars go through people's hands into their accounts. I've seen some numbers. I've seen the injustice of people who just didn't have, you know, those of us who are minorities, those of us who just ended up the wrong end of the stick. I've seen generational curse go through families and generations of people. I've seen people who have gravy and turn it into mud. I've seen people who've had mud and turn it into gold. I've seen a lot in almost 60 years. I'm a person who pays close attention. I'm a person from young who have always had to be involved with people. From young, I've had to be involved with the less fortunate. From young, I've had to be involved with the disabled. From young, I've seen abuse. From young, I've experienced abuse. From young, I've had very close to me things that happened, and I had to act like I didn't see it. I've had things that I was able to weigh in on. So when God puts Pastor Steph in front of you, I don't know it all. I have not experienced it all, and I haven't learned it all, but I've got enough under my belt to speak from where I speak. And as a mother who was a young mother, but I've spent a lot of time of my life, I've been on my own. You know, thank God for my parents. Thank God for extended family. It wasn't money that they helped me with. You got people who help with money. You know, they got it. I didn't have a family like that, but I had a family that was rich in love, that would not stop at anything they did whatever they needed to do to help you. It just didn't matter. I come from love, and I understand what it means to step in for people. I understand they would not support your wrong by far. And it taught me, and Shantice tells you very clearly, I've never supported her wrong or her sisters, but I've come up as a single parent. And as a single parent, I've had many challenges, but I've been very blessed because I took skill that I got as a young person. I learned to type in junior high school, and I was good at it. And God allowed me to flourish because I was a quick study. I always paid attention, and I was always goal oriented. I didn't mind pressing my way, push. I always went higher and higher because that was always my goal. Staying, even when I had reached a certain plateau, I couldn't stay there long. I felt like I needed to grow. And I see why now, because God needed that in me in order for me to sit before you right now. You know, I speak very confidently. Some people may think that I speak as a know-it-all. I don't. I speak confidently because I know what God has shown me. I know what God given me, and I know what God wants me to have, and I know what God has given me to give to you. And that's where I speak from. And when I'm looking at, I come from I'm a single mother, and I know many other single mothers, and we struggled. Like I said, I happened to be blessed because I made pretty good money. I owned a home, you know, in my late 20s. I was able to purchase. I ran into a big problem in that home ownership. So that wasn't easy. Again, my mother stepped in to really be a blessing to me and my family. But it was God who got me through ultimately and used individuals to help me get to where I am. And if I was the type person who did not press my way, we would have been homeless. If I wasn't the type of person who looked and saw what God was doing and took and grabbed it and utilized it, a lot of people don't have that. And they are defeated early. And I look at the injustice of, you know, I remember fighting for my kids to get health care. At one point, they didn't have health coverage. At one point, I didn't have health coverage. And I was working, making good money. And that's why I didn't have health coverage, because I couldn't afford. I was in that in-between point where you don't have health coverage on the job yet. But yet, thank God it wasn't a time when I was sick, because since I've been ill, I've had health coverage. So God is amazing in that manner. But again, my kids went through a point where we didn't have health coverage. But yet, somebody who just came off of a boat, I've always paid taxes. I pay taxes even as I get Social Security. I pay taxes. You don't have to, but I do. So I'm looking at a level of injustice. I'm looking at not only for Stephanie, but look at all the other people, like I said, who have lived this, who's living this, who just don't have the fight, don't know where to go, don't know how to push, haven't gotten the right connections. But yet you come here and you get everything handed to you in your hand. I remember having people standing before me who needed a job desperately. And I had to tell them, listen, I can't hire you. You got to go get this ID fixed. I promise you, I'm going to ensure that they hold that job opening. They want to hire you. Go get it now. I push for brand new people to get on that job. I push for people to stay on the job. But yet you tell me that there are people who come here and they can get benefits and they don't even have to have a valid ID. Yo, y'all are twisted. So I'm sorry. My level of understanding is limited. I don't want to see anybody, whether you're a person born here or not, I don't want to see you suffer. And I will do anything for a person who needs. However, I need to see America taking care of Americans. And if this country is outweighed with non-Americans, that's who will get the attention. So unfortunately, we are in a season where they're being shipped up out of here. And where it looks like it's bad, hopefully, prayerfully, even if it's not done in this administration, but it would be cleared out so that Americans can benefit from what America has to offer. That's where Pastor Steph speaks from. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for coming through big time. The ladies always do it big on Wednesdays. Please continue to keep that chat room going. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that share. Let people know that Pastor Steph and the Due Time crew is on Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now. Later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.